I arrived early to my family celebration wearing a silver dress my mom once told me made me look like I'd finally made it. I even brought flowers. The ballroom looked incredible. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. A massive champagne tower stood in the center of the room. Guests laughed, posed for photos, and enjoyed the kind of luxury my parents loved showing off. Everything looked perfect, but I've learned something about perfection. In my family, it usually came with a price. The moment I reached for the banquet hall doors, my father's voice stopped me in my tracks.
Sorry.
You're not invited. I blinked. Surely I misheard him. Then 2 security guards started walking toward me. And my father repeated himself, this time loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Please escort her out. We don't need beggars ruining tonight. Beggars. That word hit hard. Not because it was true, but because every single thing inside that room had been paid for by me. My name is Lana Hartley. I'm 35 years old. And the celebration my family proudly called their greatest achievement? I funded it. The venue. The catering. My sister's honeymoon. The beach condo my parents constantly bragged about. The luxury cars. The vacations. The emergency bailouts. All of it. For years, I quietly paid the bills while everyone else took the credit. Yet somehow, I was the beggar. Standing there while strangers stared, I finally understood something I should have realized years ago. My family didn't love me. They loved what I provided. And the second they thought they didn't need me anymore, they showed me exactly where I stood.
So I didn't cry.
I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I straightened my shoulders, looked once at my mother, who couldn't even meet my eyes, and walked away. Then I got into my car, opened my banking app, and started canceling everything. The catering contract. Canceled. The honeymoon package. Canceled. The monthly condo payments. Frozen immediately. Within 20 minutes, more than $70,000 in active expenses disappeared. And so did their illusion that they controlled me. My phone exploded before I even got home. Missed calls. Text messages. Voicemails. Then came the pounding on my front door. I checked the peephole. My brother-in-law stood outside, looking furious. The second I opened the door, he started yelling, "You need to fix this." I leaned against the doorway. The hotel canceled our rooms. The honeymoon flights disappeared during check-in. What the heck is wrong with you? I stayed calm. Sounds like someone forgot to check whose name was on the payments. His expression changed instantly. Confusion replaced anger. What are you talking about? I walked inside and returned with a thick folder. Contracts, invoices, bank records. Every payment connected directly back to my company. My LLC. My money. My signature. His face went pale. For years, my family treated me like an ATM with emotions. Useful when they needed cash. Invisible when they didn't. That night, I finally stopped protecting the system that was hurting me. The next morning was chaos. My mother left a tearful voicemail. Lana, sweetheart, emotions were high. Everybody misunderstood each other. Funny thing about apologies. Real ones usually include the words, "I'm sorry." She never said them. Not once. My father emailed unpaid invoices, as if guilt would somehow reopen my wallet. My sister sent long messages explaining how stressful wedding planning had been. Apparently, everyone had an excuse. Nobody had accountability. Then a cousin sent me screenshots from a family group chat. A group chat I hadn't even known existed. The messages were eye-opening. She'll get over it. She always comes back. Just give her time. She's being dramatic. I actually laughed. Because people who depend on your silence always call honesty dramatic. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. My parents' accountant contacted me privately. He sounded nervous. "Lana, I discovered something during a financial review." I listened carefully. "The beach condo your parents claim as part of their retirement portfolio?" He paused. "It legally belongs to your company." I sat up straight. "What?" "The title records show ownership through your LLC." For a long moment, I didn't speak. Then he added something even more surprising. "There are also several financial disclosures that don't fully match reality." Translation? My parents had spent years presenting my financial support as their own success. The condo, the investments, the lifestyle. They were taking credit for assets they didn't actually own. The accountant asked a simple question. Would you be willing to verify the documentation? I looked out the window, then answered, yes. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted the truth. And once the truth started coming out, everything changed. Within 48 hours, my attorney filed legal protections on every property connected to my business. Ownership records were updated. Accounts were reviewed. Financial documents were audited. Suddenly, the people who called me emotional were forced to explain years of hidden dependence. That evening, my mother called again. This time she was crying. You're destroying this family. I listened quietly.
2.
She talked about appearances, church friends, neighbors asking questions, family reputation. Do you know what she never mentioned? My humiliation, my pain, the fact that her husband had publicly called her daughter a beggar. 'Cause this was never about how I felt. It was about how uncomfortable they felt. The audit uncovered more than anyone expected. Thousands of dollars withdrawn from family trust accounts. Luxury vacations disguised as emergencies. Expensive vehicle restorations listed as repairs. Designer purchases categorized as household expenses. Year after year. Lie after lie. And through all of it, I kept hearing my father's favorite phrase. Family sacrifices for family. Problem was only one person had been sacrificing. Me. When my attorney asked whether I wanted to pursue harsher legal action, I shook my head. I don't want revenge. What do you want? Accountability. There's a difference. Revenge wants suffering. Accountability wants truth. A week later, my father showed up at my office. For the first time in my life, he looked small, tired, older, human. He stood awkwardly in the doorway holding his hat. You've made your point. I looked up from my desk. No, I said calmly. I finally stopped hiding yours. The room went silent. Years ago, I would have rushed to fix that silence, to make everyone comfortable, to smooth things over. Not anymore. Growth sometimes sounds like saying nothing at all. My father looked around my office, the same company he once called my little side project. Then he asked quietly, You're really going through with this? I folded my hands. You called me a beggar. His eyes dropped, while standing inside something I built. For a moment, he looked ashamed. Then he reached into his jacket and placed a signed blank check on my desk. I slid it right back. This was never about your money. He looked confused. I continued. It was about my worth. He left without another word. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Weeks later, we ended up in court. Not because I wanted drama, 'cause facts needed a place to exist. Courtroom wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No emotional speeches. Just documents. Records. Proof. My attorney presented years of payment histories showing exactly where the money came from. The judge reviewed everything carefully. Then he asked me one question. What outcome are you seeking, Miss Hartley? I stood, looked directly at him, and answered. Accuracy. That's all. I wanted reality reflected in the record. Nothing more. Nothing less. The ruling corrected ownership records. Misused funds were returned to their proper accounts. Several assets were legally separated from my parents' control. Nobody went to jail. No headlines were written. But something far more important happened. The truth stopped hiding. After the hearing, my family went silent. No emergency calls. No guilt trips. No fake invitations. No manipulation. First, the silence felt strange. Then it felt peaceful. One afternoon, an envelope appeared beneath my apartment door. Inside was a photograph from the banquet. Everyone smiling. Everyone celebrating. And in the blurry background, me, walking away. Someone had written a sentence on the back. This was the moment everything fell apart. I stared at those words for a long time, then fed the photo into my shredder. 'Cause they were wrong. That wasn't the moment everything fell apart. That was the moment I stopped holding everything together by myself. A month later, I sold the beach condo. Not out of anger, out of freedom. With part of the proceeds, I launched something new. The Hartley Foundation, a scholarship program helping young women pay for college when they didn't have family support. The first acceptance letter I mailed made me cry. Harder than the banquet ever did. Not because I was sad. 'Cause healing finally felt bigger than survival. People often think strength looks loud. Like revenge. Like anger. Like making someone hurt the way you hurt. But real strength can be quiet. Walking away. Protecting your peace. Refusing to finance relationships built on disrespect. My family taught me that love meant endless sacrifice. Life taught me something better. Love without respect becomes obligation. And obligation is not the same thing as belonging. Today my phone is quieter. My circle is smaller. But my life is finally honest. Every dollar I spend. Every celebration I create. Every act of kindness I give. Comes from choice. Not fear. And that isn't revenge. That's freedom.
Most welcome to all viewers. Thanks.